describe kind of your college recruiting experience. You know, I've talked with Robby about it, and you kind of tried a lot of different things before things kind of got rolling and all of that. So if you could just describe it for me.
Yeah, honestly, like, it was a really long, like, windy process with a lot of ups and downs for sure. I was getting looked at, like, from sophomore year, freshman year on. Nothing really, like, ever stuck, though. And so once I went into my summer season before my senior year, I actually got in contact with Robby, and that's where things kind of just kicked off from there, and have just been like a crazy fast trip from there, honestly. But yeah.
Okay, so what were you kind of, you said you were doing some things before. What were some of those things you were doing to try to help?
So for my travel team, we obviously have a coach that would help with recruiting, but it is kind of harder just working with so many girls, trying to get them all recruited. So sometimes I wouldn't get the attention always needed and that kind of thing. And so I would always work on my own, trying to email as many coaches as I can, get as much visibility as I could, go to a lot of showcases and a lot of camps for sure to get seen, but nothing really ever seemed to like really stick. So yeah, I just working hard to try and get seen and everything, but yeah.
Okay, right. So how did you come across National Scouting Report? How did you build that relationship with Robby?
Yeah, so over the summer of last year, I was going to a lot of tournaments, and coaches would always come up to my coach and be like, so, like, where's your pitcher committed? Like, she did really well, like, kind of thing. And he'd be like, she's not committed anywhere. Like, we're having troubles. Like, feel free to put her name out anywhere. And so I guess one of the coaches actually mentioned me to Robby, and so Robby got in contact with us, and we had a super long conversation, and it was just an awesome conversation. That really helped. So
good. Okay, so Mom, let's hear like how your side, how was this, some random guy, I guess, was just messaging your daughter, trying to learn about the recruiting process for her. How was that like for you?
Yeah, I mean, we've been a little bit burned in the past, between recruiters from travel teams that were like parent or, just only knowing schools in California. And Jordan wanted a school with 4 seasons. Her list was extremely detailed. We actually wondered if there was a school on the planet that fit every one of her criteria. And when Robby called, at first I thought, oh, is this another gimmick? Because at that stage we had spent so much money on there was a site we had joined probably freshman year, never got any value out of that recruiting process. She'd been on a couple of very high-end travel ball teams with great people. Sometimes a limited view on the different schools across the country. And we had some unique needs. So when Robby got on the phone with me that night, I remember we were hosting some kind of family event at the house, and I stepped into the spare room and tried to tune everything out, and I'm listening to this guy, and he knew Jordan. Like the things he said, he had done his homework. He could see like nuances from her video and in reading her stat sheet, because the thing was, Jordan had a lot of accolades. I was keeping all the press on her. It was like 4 pages and pictures. She was first team All-State at that point for California. It's like, and no real nibbles. It didn't make sense. And Robby's excitement was infectious. So he immediately proved to me he knew what he was doing. He knew the product. He'd done a lot of research, and basically it came down to trust, though. He was honest and open. We were. And just by the end of that, what turned out to be probably an hour and a half call, we were all in and he was all in. And at the end of the day, it comes down to trusting that person. And we trusted Robby emphatically, and he absolutely came through.
Awesome. That's exciting. Giving me chills right here that you had a great experience, So you talked about the website you used. What were some other like specific problems and challenges you experienced through the whole recruiting process from a parent's point of view and then from an athlete's point of view?
Yes, I mean, as a parent, there was constantly requests by coaches for her to go to a camp. And we spent so much money on travel and the cost of camps. Sometimes schools were asking her to go 3, 4, 5 different times. And, in my work, I run a sales organization in Silicon Valley. And, to me, it's like, are there buy signs? Is it time to go for the close? Like, how many times do they need to see you? It started to feel like a complete money grab. And that started to feel very disingenuous. It's like they've seen you at so many tournaments, you've been on their campus, it's yes or no, right? And just watching her get really excited because a coach was inquiring and asking her to come to a camp, and then there wouldn't be any real interaction. And it was heartbreaking kind of seeing the ups and the downs. And so there was so many emails. I was like, it was almost like running a business, all of the emails she'd be told to send for every single weekend of games, right? And it was like running a little marketing company. So, but you wouldn't see the results. You wouldn't really know because you couldn't really necessarily directly speak to the coaches at certain times.
Yeah, for me, I struggled because my junior year, I got a pretty bad concussion during fall season, which kind of put me out of the game for about 2 to 3 months because it was my second to third concussion. And so that was a big thing for me that kind of really hurt in the recruiting process, and kind of that junior year gap where I really needed to get in and go and hit the pedal running and stuff. I just couldn't do because I was out of play. So that was probably my biggest struggle going through it and going through everything with softball.
Yeah, okay. So you talked about the emails and needing a marketing service and all of that. So, how did Robby help you with all of that? And how did he help? What other things did he help you with in the recruiting process with us?
Yeah, so Robby was amazing. He would give me a baseline, tell me these coaches need emails, you need to send out emails, and would just help me with everything and really be detailed about what I need to do and guide me through every step and make sure I'm saying the right things, make sure I'm saying everything that needs to be said to try and get the coaches really interested and intrigued in me. So, yeah.
And then he would also require that we take clips of her, whether it was on at a tournament or at a practice or in a workout. We weren't the best at that. We could have done better. But we did that so she had more recent things to show. And I think the best part was he would engage on, this coach is interested and here's why. And here's a phone call. Here's now send a follow-up. So it didn't feel like you were just throwing things against the wall and seeing if they were going to stick. It felt like there was a real bi-directional conversation, whereas almost everything in the past felt like you're just throwing things out there into the ether, hoping somebody picks up on it.
Yeah, definitely. So, actually, Tammy, this is directed towards you. It's a question that Robby kind of submitted. So, you saw all the difference. You worked with all those different services and stuff. What kind of was the biggest difference you saw in working with NSR versus some of the other services?
I think the biggest difference with NSR was really genuine caring about the whole child and the parents. I mean, we were going through some tough things during the recruiting process, just different things, in the family. And, Jordan's goals changed a little bit. She didn't want to go as far away. She thought in the beginning, anywhere on the planet that checked off her many items on her checklist was a good fit. But then as he sent her out on unofficial visits and official visits, it became very clear certain parts of the country weren't a great fit for Jordan. And she didn't get that vibe. And certain types of schools relative to bigger city or not such an interesting college town feel, she had more detailed view, and Robby cared about her. She was never checking a box. We were never a checkbox. And we could feel that. And that was, there was a lot of time and money spent doing these visits. And knowing that Robby had her whole interest in mind, not just showing she could get a full ride, she could go to a D1 softball program. A lot of things that came along the journey would have looked great on paper, outside looking in, but he saw that that wasn't the right fit for Jordan. And he was patient, and he just, really cared about her and cared about us. And that was the difference entirely in this process and with working with NSR.
But I get the vibe. I totally understand getting onto campus and being like, this is it. This is home. I'm going here. Kind of explain that to me. What was that kind of like for you?
Yeah, going into Boise, it was a school I had already applied to, so I was already looking there no matter what for school. And as soon as I kind of got on the campus, I just saw this less of a city town, more rural, and which is something I was really looking for, and just like an awesome place in general. And it just really stuck for me. And then getting to meet the coaches and meet the girls just like really confirmed that for me, with like how amazing like the girls were, and like how helpful and like interactive the coaches were with me, which was like amazing and I absolutely loved. And then just getting to not only visit the school but visit the surrounding area of Boise was just awesome. It's a very new up and coming town that is just like super cool to me, and I'm super interested in it, so I'm really excited.
Okay, well, awesome. I'm glad you got to experience that. So what is some advice you have to other student athletes going through the recruiting process, things that you learned through the process that other kids may not know about because you didn't know about it?
To be my biggest thing would be to be patient, and there's a right fit for everyone. And you hear it so many times, most likely, but it really is true. And it's something that I've always kept with me to slow it down, know what you want, and when you're sure, you're sure, basically. And that has just really helped guide me through the process. And yeah, it kind of sucked at points and was really hard to deal with, but in the end, you will find the right place for you. It's just a matter of time.
Okay, so from a parent's point of view, what are some things, that you learned through the process that you kind of wish you knew in the beginning and maybe you wouldn't have struggled so much or anything like that? Is there anything you can think of?
Oh yeah, there's somewhere around 286 D1 softball schools, and lots of D2 and lots of D3, and that, many times, sometimes the D2 schools are better than, or the teams are better than the D1, that it's not about the brand, and really listening to your kid about what they want, but then tending to that story. Why do you want that? What is it that you're looking for? And if those answers match what they say they want, then, that's what they want. And I think being patient and knowing there's a school for everyone, she was very eyes open in regards to if she chose to go to a school without softball, if she chose to go to a junior college. And I think it was important to keep every door open and to know that her path would light up at the right time. And also as a parent, though, you see she had an opportunity with a really big softball school, but the rest of the pieces didn't fit. Then she had an opportunity where it was, the most amazing financial offer, but the other pieces didn't fit. And it's having the courage, like Jordan did. I think the hardest thing to do is to say no. When a team is saying, I've never given an offer like this to an athlete, let alone a female athlete, you almost want to just say, well, yes, you had me at hello, or, some big brand, major athletic school. It's you're wooed, being on the football field during, a big game. But at the end of the day, you can't let go of what's really going to be a good fit for your kid. The last thing you want is all the hype cycle, and then they get out there and they're back, 4 weeks in, and we're starting the process all over again. So patience and just knowing there's definitely a school for your child, and listening to what they really want.
Okay, so Tammy, this was submitted by Robby as well. So once you kind of saw everything turning for Jordan, and she was getting the recognition, she'd worked hard for and she deserved at this point, how did that turning point, how did that make you feel? How did that transition the recruiting process for you? And, how did Robby kind of help that as well?
Well, I think you're going to make me cry.
Oh, no, I don't want to make you cry.
In a good way, but there's nothing worse when you see your child working so hard. And Jordan's path was particularly difficult because of the couple of injuries she got. And watching your kid suffer, it probably, she came out of her sophomore year helping lead her team to the highest level championship and being named sophomore player of the year for the entire central coast of California, and she didn't have a single real team at the table. And when she got the concussion and had to not go to a bunch of camps she was invited to and visits, it was really hard. And when what Robby did is he made Jordan not a number. Jordan is almost 6'1". She has amazing stats. She's won a lot of awards, but you look at her throw and she throws really well, but she's a finesse thrower. She's not the powerhouse strikeout pitcher throwing 70. And people would look at her and think her numbers, oh, she's 6'1", she should be faster, she should be this. Yet Jordan's more than any stat. Jordan's, an all-around person that brings so much to the field and off the field. And Robby was the first one that was able to bring Jordan alive. And even frankly, our family. I mean, we're an all-in about the whole child kind of family. And I think in today's world, that's important. And he allowed our story to come through, not just what we look like on paper. And it felt great to finally be seen and heard.
Awesome. Okay, so my last question is for you, Jordan. So what do you think was the biggest NSR difference that impacted you as a person, your recruiting, anything like that? Is there anything you can think of?
Honestly, Robby was such a help. He really cared about me, and whether it was good or bad, we had an amazing connection that is continuing to grow now, even that has helped a lot. And him just being there for me as a player and as a person was something just I couldn't have even dreamed of asking for, and it was amazing. And he just helped a lot with that. And even when a coach did say, okay, we've got enough pitchers, it's a no, he was still straight up with me. We had great communication, which helped me be okay, that's fine. Time to move on to the next one. Let's keep going. Let's keep getting after it. And really helped me push myself for sure.